All right, there we go. So
Great.
hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight for the 439 Churchill Avenue North site plan control application. As far as I can see right now, we have the community association in attendance, possibly one neighbor, and the city staff and the applicant team. I'll keep it pretty short since everyone is going to know the spiel here, but so this presentation is going to be recorded and posted to the Kitchissippi Ward YouTube. So if you're reviewing it online right now, you know that, but that will be made available for anyone who might reach out to city staff or who might reach out to the applicants, asking questions about this meeting and looking to review it. We're not going to use the Q&A function in this one. I assume anyone who wants to ask questions can either put them in the chat or just ask to speak in order to put the questions to the applicants. So we're just going to proceed in the usual way. We're going to have Tyler with Photon give a very short presentation on the planning application before us, go over some of the technical details of it for everyone. And then after that, we can just dive into whatever questions there might be. And then that'll be that for everybody. So I guess with that, haven't seen anyone else come in since then, so I feel pretty comfortable handing it off. But Tyler, if you want to open up the presentation.
Okay. So I'll keep this brief, and considering how few people there are in the room, I'll also maybe skip a slide or two. I'm sure everyone's a little familiar with the context, but okay. So good evening. My name is Tyler Yakchuk. As mentioned, I'm a planner with Photon and Planning and Design, working on behalf of Grepo Developments. In addition to myself, we have Lisa De La Rosa, also with Photon, Chris Benez, our architect, and Isabel DePoe, our developer. I'll be walking you through the planning and policy context, as well as the design for the proposed development at 439 Churchill Avenue North. Proposed development looks to redevelop the subject property as a 3-story mixed-use building that will contain 4 residential units and 2 commercial units. Those 2 commercial units, which are presently existing on the site and naturally will be retained. So I will quickly go through our context. So the property fronts the east side of Churchill Avenue North and has frontage of approximately 15.25 meters. With the subject property, it has an area of roughly 461 square meters and is about 600 meters in radius from the Dominion Rapid Transit Station and 630 meters from the Westboro Rapid Transit Station. So here's just an image looking at the context in each cardinal direction with a couple major sites. Next one. So the existing context. The property is presently improved with a 2-story building containing 2 commercial units and a detached 2-car garage at the rear of the property, which is shared with the abutting neighbor to the north. In addition to the garage, 3 more stall parking spaces are available at the rear of the building presently. The property directly to the north of 439 Churchill has recently been approved for site plan control to develop a 6-story mixed-use building. The site of the proposed development that abuts the north lot line to 439 Churchill includes no balconies and will be, among other things, a servicing and garage area for the new project. In other words, there will be no privacy concerns for either development. The property to the south is a mixed-use building that includes commercial at-grade and additional residential uses at the rear of the property, which is not unlike what we're proposing this evening. While City Council has recently approved the new official plan, the site plan control application is being approved through the existing official plan and is still in effect. As such, we'll briefly cover both OPs. The property is located in the general urban area, which is typically characterized by low-rise development and complementary commercial uses. Intensification within the general urban area must remain compatible with the surrounding community while looking to add to the variety of housing options in the area. General urban area is also supportive of a broad range of uses, commercial uses, which are generally regulated through the zoning bylaws, which we will look at a little later. Under the new official plan, the subject property is located on a minor corridor. Minor corridors are bands along streets that contemplate higher density and a greater mix of uses. However, along minor corridors specifically, the height of buildings remains predominantly low rise. In addition to the minor corridor designation, the subject property is also located in an evolving neighborhood overlay. The overlay applies to areas that are in close proximity to hubs and corridors to indicate that over time, the density of the area will intensify. So the current zoning is local commercial subzone 1 and is limited in height to 14.5 meters. And the purpose of this zone is to allow for a variety of small, locally oriented convenience and service uses, as well as residential uses in the general urban area, provide an opportunity to accommodate residential and or mixed use developments, and impose development standards that will ensure that the size and scale of development is consistent with that of the surrounding residential area. The proposed redevelopment meets the general intent and purpose of the zone. However, specific relief from 2 built form provisions will be sought at the Committee of Adjustments. The relief will be discussed on the next slide. So the planning applications that we'll be looking for tonight, we're here specifically to discuss the site plan control application to build the proposed development as conceived. And in addition to the site plan application, after we receive our first round of technical comments, which we got today from the city, we will engage the Committee of Adjustment for a minor variance to reduce the interior side yard setback and reduce the provision requiring the entire paving surface to be permeable. These variances will be discussed a little later. So the proposed development. Here's a site plan for the development. We are looking to, as I've mentioned, redevelop the property as a 3-story mixed-use building. The building will collectively house the existing 2 commercial units, as well as 4 new residential units. This will include 3 units at the rear of the property, as well as 1 above the existing commercial units, plural, sorry. Included will be 2 parking spaces and 7 bicycle stalls. On the landscape plan, you can see the attention given to maximizing the attractiveness of the exterior space. Of note is how well treed the rear of the property is. Ideally, there will be no privacy issues expected as a result of the new and existing plantings, and also no trees are proposed to be removed. Looking at the elevation drawings, you can begin to understand or get an understanding of what the redevelopment will be looking like. First, the west elevation viewing from Churchill. You can see that the additional story on what the existing story on the building will look like, as well as the new balcony. On the east elevation that shows the rear of the property, you can see the rear entrances to the units, as well as the balcony spaces each unit has. On the north elevation, which is the side that abuts the property proposed with a 6-story development, you can see where the servicing doors are located. And finally, on the south elevation, which abuts neighboring mixed-use building, you can see there are no windows, so as to retain privacy for residents of both buildings. So back to the relief we are ultimately seeking at the Committee of Adjustment. As mentioned earlier, we will be seeking the relief of 2 provisions, a reduction of the interior side lot from 5 meters to 2.53 meters, and a reduction in the required permeable surfaces. We believe the reduction in the side yard setback is appropriate, given that it's an existing condition and that both this development and the proposed development next door have limited any potential privacy concerns between the 2 buildings. With regard to the permeable surface provision, the drive aisle leading to the permeable surfaced area in the rear is the only non-permeable surface on site. We believe this reduction is appropriate as a great effort was put into retaining water on site, and the proposed landscape plan would broadly achieve that goal. So that is our presentation, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions you may have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler, for the good overview. in that case, we can just probably jump into questions slash more so conversations, but maybe I'll turn to you, Heather, to see if you maybe had some opening comments or concerns from the community association. I can also speak for a bit and ask for some clarification if if you
Sure.
need some time.
No, first of all, can you hear me okay? You're good?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, that's great. Tyler, can you show me, I guess obviously we're most concerned with where it abuts the neighbors on the, let me get this right, on the east side, in other words, behind the building.
Sure.
Do you have a view of that? I'm sorry.
I guess this might be the best image showing
Right.
where.
That, or if you go to the photo we have of the street view, I think you could see the existing building. Oh, if you go down one, I think you're looking at, nope, the next one down, that one, where I think you see the existing building on the east side, right? You're not looking the north side. You're not looking where the 6th story is. You're looking for the one on the south side.
I want to see where the building abuts with neighbors on Highcroft.
Oh,
So at the rear of the
Highcroft.
property.
The rear of the
The
property.
rear of the
Okay.
property.
So
Yeah.
that
Okay.
one, right?
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
mean,
yes,
I
but
have-
so you don't have any renderings for that?
Nothing.
We have a
for-
rear elevation, but we don't have something that shows, like, other than the
Okay.
landscape plan, like it's a 1D sort of from the air schematic.
Sure. Okay, because that would be really helpful to envision what neighbors are going to look at. But what I was hearing from you though, you're going to retain some trees and some greenery in the back there.
Yeah, the
Oh.
trees are not being touched that are
Yeah.
existing.
Okay.
Going back to the landscape.
So that was the
plan.
rear right there. If you go back up one, you can see
right
the
here.
elevation.
Well, right here you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees that will offer some privacy.
Yeah, I've stopped my video because I'm pinching it open and I don't want you to see my nostrils.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, then
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Looks
well, then
good. That looks good.
Trust me when I say there are 5 larger trees that should offer pretty good privacy. The canopies
Yeah.
look to roughly cover the majority of the building.
Yeah. And since
Mhm.
this already is asphalted and the neighbors would be used to this building being commercial anyway, right? I mean, they would, I mean, this is already a commercial building, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we
It's
are
not-
respecting the rear yard, like there is no setback reduction or anything with that addition
Yeah.
coming into the back. And the permeable parking, as much as it's part of zoning, it's something that the developer is very keen on doing, just because it will help water get to those trees more so than the current asphalt that's there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the developer is here now, and I think the intention is for those parking spaces to strictly be for the commercial tenants. The apartment units would not have parking, so those would be more of on a temporary basis for people that have appointments at the commercial or for employees.
Yeah.
So the idea would be that it wouldn't become a parking lot 24/7 in the back there.
No, that's good. And
Yeah.
sorry, so for the residents, how many apartments?
There are
4.
4.
4 and no
Yes.
parking, right? So they're going to be using LRT and so on.
LRT,
Right.
and then there's 7 bike parking spaces added.
Oh, good. Okay. That was my next question about the bike parking.
Mhm.
The garbage is on the side of the building, so it's abutting
It's
your neighbor
yeah,
there.
and it's
Yeah.
enclosed as part of the building, like it's built in, so it will be rolled out, but it is internal to the building and not just a bin in the back that's fenced or something.
Mhm.
And you've told me there's no rooftop terrace, there's no balconies, again, for neighbors on Highcroft.
No, there's not, there's the balcony,
Okay.
yes, if you go to the elevation, I think one up maybe. Or, yeah, so
Yeah.
Right.
the back, I guess this east elevation is what's happening in the back. So there is balconies and staircases in the
Okay.
back that would back onto that Highcroft property.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But with those
Okay.
trees at the back as well and it's only one tree being removed, so that canopy is going to be mostly intact.
Be
by
there.
it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds good. It sounds good. What we want to do is I'll want to show this to a couple of the neighbors since they're not here. I
You
may
get a
still-
private audience here, Heather.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. That's very kind of you all. No, but this is very important. And also, if you're going really to committee of adjustment, that's another opportunity for us to, I can wave this around some folks and make sure that they're comfortable with it. I don't
Yeah,
have
and
any.
Yes, so just
additions.
on that, Heather, I just want to make sure
Mm.
that you are clear on what the minor variances are that we're asking for. So we did go through that. It's part of the presentation and we will
Yep.
make this presentation available. So it is the interior side yard as well as the permeable pavement component.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is good.
Mhm.
No, so I mean, I personally I don't see anything, I don't see any red flags here. I can't see that the committee of adjustment will have an issue with this, but you never know with these guys sometimes.
Yep.
Mhm.
I never quite know. Sometimes
You
they're
and me
on my
both.
side, sometimes they're on the developer side, and sometimes they're on their own side. And they're all wonderful folks, and I respect them very much. But it's no, this all looks good to me. As I say, before you go to committee of adjustment, I'll just make sure that a few neighbors see it. I think, to be perfectly frank, the neighbors on Highcroft are more concerned about the other development that's going up on the corner at Byron Place.
Okay,
And that
yeah.
is, that's finished, and that is going to be built. And thanks to the community and the councillor, there was, some mitigation to that project as it stepped down to Highcroft. But this building has always been a commercial building. You're adding an extra piece to it and adding a residence. Having residential always softens and I think improves a situation, because it means there's people living in the building and they're there all the time, and that's all really good. So thanks for this. I really have nothing. I have nothing to add. As I say, some of the neighbors may have a few things once they have a real look at it, but I see no red flags with this at all. So
Mhm.
looks good to
So
me.
just on that, Heather, sorry, we, as Tyler mentioned, our first round of comments this morning. So there are some things that we are working through with the city. The community comments were forthcoming. So if there are questions or concerns that want to be brought forward, I think Kim would appreciate those so that they
Yeah.
can become part of the record in our response. And appreciate you being able to talk to the neighbors and even ahead of us going to committee. We don't have an
Oh, yeah.
application in yet to committee.
Okay.
We are working, we want to make sure that we have the first round of comments in just in case anything does tweak, because we end up, as you know, committee of adjustment decisions are tied to drawings. We want to make sure that the drawings we're bringing to committee are ones that have addressed everything that the city and our clients are comfortable with locking into place. So we're probably still, I would say, a month away from committee, but
Okay.
that just gives you a bit of a timeline for that. And of course, sign will go up, notice will go out, all
Yeah.
of that will happen with committee.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, one of our board members is in touch with the neighbor directly behind, so I'll make sure the other two neighbors behind and on the other side, just to make sure that they know what's going on. As long as they're comfortable, I'm comfortable. So
Mhm.
that's it.
And just to clarify, if you don't mind me asking, Lisa and Tyler, for the permeable sort of road, what is
Tyler,
being
I think you're still sharing your screen here.
Oh, yeah. Shouldn't be looking at my email. Let's see. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just okay. I wasn't sure who was sharing. I was like, oh, emails.
was under the impression it was you. So
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Steph. I wasn't sure what Tyler was bringing up.
It's all good. But just to clarify for anyone who might be watching and might not understand, just with the Westboro overlay and those permeable sort of roadways, it's because the asphalt is already there and being taken into consideration. That's why you're asking for that
So
relief?
there's an extension. So we are extending the pavement slightly, because right now the pavement is going essentially to the garage in the back. So where
Okay.
we're adding the parking spaces or redoing the parking spaces, that will be a permeable surface, but the existing pavement, we're not going to rip it up and put down a permeable right now. But as speaking with the developer, as asphalt needs to be replaced and stuff, and the idea would be to replace it with something that is permeable after wear and tear happens, but there's no point now with functional asphalt to rip it up to put something else down. But the zoning requires it to be permeable. So that's where the variance is needed.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think that would just be good clarification for anyone who's looking for that, seeing that, you know, it's a new sort of development with the overlay and everything.
And that I believe came into place because of the stormwater and being able to have, there's too much runoff happening. So this is actually going to improve the situation by removing the asphalt that's currently in the back.
Yeah.
So this is there's no concerns from an overflow point of view, which is, I believe, one of the impetus reasons that permeable surface condition sort of came through zoning.
Yeah, and just let me pipe in there. It's really important because Westboro is really squishy. It's really there's a trouble with water in a lot of areas. So
yeah, so but good to have that. So anyone listening might be wondering, you know, why that might be the case, and get that insight. I'm gonna stop talking for a sec before asking maybe one or two more questions. Is there, I think one or two people have popped into the meeting. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just turn on your mic and take the floor if you'd like. I'll give it 15 seconds of awkward silence for us all to see if anyone wants to fill it. And, you know, all the wonderful sounds.
So Steph, it's Maureen, just for a second. I've got obviously no concerns with the project. I just, Lisa, you, Tyler, Kim, and I, and Andrew McCray just need to coordinate things with respect to the demolition of the shared garage at the back. And I know we'll be able to work it out. So just for the record.
That was one of the comments we got today, was understanding the demo of the garage, the shared laneway. So there's some conversations that need to be had for sure.
Let's just take it down and then we don't have to talk about it. It'll all be taken care of.
Hi,
Thank you.
Murray. It's Heather. Hi, Murray.
Hi,
It's
Heather.
nice
How
to
are
see you? Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Just keep us in the loop, will you, about that demos, all of that. Like, we'll really want to know. I know you're still a ways to get started on it, but just keep us in the loop. And if you need help, we can flyer the neighbors.
Appreciate that very much.
Awesome. Maybe just to go back to the parking spaces for the residential units. This is probably something that's already on your radars, but just because it's an issue that kind of pops up with some of the other developments in the area. Obviously, we like seeing the no parking close to transit, but for the owners, just be upfront with the residential tenants coming in about that no parking, because usually we're the ones who are coming to them and breaking the news that there's not really any street parking around, and then immediate neighbors tend to get pretty peeved off at that. And obviously that you know, I'm sure Kim can attest to this, but it's always going to be in the jar that, you know, that it has to be in the lease that there's no parking for the residential units. I don't know if that might be the case here with the 2 spots in the back, but just think Jeff would echo this too, and that, you know, be upfront on the parking not being there for anyone who's coming in, to save everyone a bit of grief that tends to accompany that, no matter how hard we try.
Yeah, I'm with Steph on this. I have a different view than a lot of the neighbors, just so you guys know. I'm sorry, I may be walking into traffic now. Sorry about that. But some neighbors do lose their minds when they find out that there is no parking with some of the bigger buildings. And, you know, quite justifiably so, they're terrified about traffic on their street. I think in this case, probably not going to see too much of that. It's very small and there's only the 4 units. But Steph's right. Do make sure that it's very clear to your future owners / tenants that there is no parking.
Mm-hmm.
And there are limits to street parking and they have to be respected.
Yeah. I can't foresee any traffic issues, you know, obviously with the lane already being there and taking you to the spots in the back. But you know, we had a development meeting back in December for another site plan happening on Churchill that I think Lisa also might have been in attendance for. I'm not sure. I know it was a FO10 project as well. And in that case too, we had a pretty extended conversation on, the problem of people seeking out street parking because they weren't aware of, parking regulations and that being a problem. And it's a fruitful conversation we have every time, but it's one that has proven good to repeat and bring up early before, we get caught down the road and everyone's sort of on their back foot instead. So that's
which by the way, I'll chime in, Stephanie handled very, very well. It was a bit of a pylon, but I think you handled it well.
Thanks, Stephanie. It was a good time. Kept me on my feet, absolutely. But that's it for really anything else. Like there's no lay-by concerns here. The commercial businesses are obviously already, familiar with how the traffic's going to come there, and they're remaining the same, so that can't be any different. So I think that's really it for us. I mean, are you adding any kind of, I didn't see it in the planning rationale, but are you adding HVAC anywhere for the residential units? And if so, is that going on top or where?
I think that might be a Chris question or Isabel to see whether we're doing air conditioning and where the units are going. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch what you had said. Okay, so it's air conditioning. I think it's an Isabel question. We can certainly do air conditioning.
I do believe, based on the noise study, we're going to have to put HVAC system and AC because Churchill is noisy, and therefore tenants may not have the opportunity to open windows. So yes, as to the placement, I don't think that has been decided yet. We will discuss with Chris.
I don't think it'll be a rooftop just because of the size of the building itself. It's not something that you would see a big industrial unit going up on top, but then again, it needs to be looked at independently. And we do have those backyard like those stairwells in the back that potentially could house some independent unit, but it's something that we know because of the noise report we will have to have air conditioning. So
yeah, and typically in most of our units, what we're doing is just through the wall systems, which are in the corner. So you probably won't see anything outside of the building in this project.
Yeah, neighbors, of course, you want to be careful about the mechanicals and the noise they make, right?
Yeah, these things aren't terribly noisy. They're very small and they don't have to work very hard to supply air to the units. So I don't suspect that'll be a problem at all. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like the setback at the back is pretty adequate on that, but obviously, we hear the complaints about that. It seems unlikely given the distance in the back and the businesses to, the north and south, but just as always, we always like to say, be sensitive to that in the case that you are getting close to anyone who's in a residential unit, just as comments to take forward as you're working through everything. Beyond that, I cannot think of any more questions or concerns we might have. If Heather, you'd like to ask anything else, or if any neighbors would like to pop in.
I just want to congratulate you guys because I think it's great to have these mixed projects where we have commercial on the bottom and residential on the top, and Churchill is moving that way. And I think it's great. It's a great way to bring more people into the community.
Great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see on Churchill. That's for sure. All right. Well, in that case, I think we're probably good to wrap this up for tonight. I mean, thank you everybody for showing up nonetheless. I'm sure this will still prove useful for anyone who reviews it, but I appreciate you taking the time to come and sit and answer questions nonetheless. And with that, yeah, I don't know if you guys would like to do any comments to close. Tyler and or Lisa, if you'd like, here's the opportunity.
Everyone have a nice long weekend.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good. And thanks, staff, as always. And thanks for all the work. And as I say, though, I will have neighbors look at it closely. I'll go and speak to them personally and before you go to committee of adjustment, well before you go to committee of adjustment. But I myself, as I say, don't see any red flags, so looks good.
Great.
Amazing. Well, everyone, thank you for coming. Have an amazing long weekend. Hopefully the weather is good for all and there's good times.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much. Bye.